Hey YouTube, Kira Qualia here, bringing you all my Riviere Cardfight Vanguard standard deck profile for post-Crystal Melody. Wanted to do an update to the Bermuda Triangle decks. Moving right along, we finished the Pacifica standard deck profile. Wanted to do Riviere next. It's probably the one I was the most excited about from all of the three new decks we have from the Crystal Melody booster pack, focusing on one of the first sub-clans for Bermuda Triangle being Riviere. It was a ride chain that came out, I believe, in the first booster pack that we ever had Bermuda Triangle support for the deck as a whole, and the deck still retains for the theme being the Riviere ride chain. I really am happy we got some additional support to go with the overall ride chain for the deck, just focusing on consistently riding into top idle Riviere and then having the restand power by using other Rivieres in your hand for this deck. So definitely happy with the results. I know a lot of people saying this deck is probably going to be either put on the restricted list in some way, or some of the cards that overall make this deck pretty high tier. But until then, we'll just go with what I have for the deck profile. So let's go ahead and get started. So for the grade 3s, the main one you run is your top idle Riviere. I only have the 3, still waiting for one more to come in. So I have one Silver Singer Q-Tire in here to fill in the spot. But you definitely do want to run 4 top idle Riviere. On Vanguard, when placed, counterblast 1, discard a card from your hand, and draw 2 cards. So overall, with Imaginary Gift Force, this card just has great consistency for milling through cards in the deck, getting good draws off of the discard as well, all for just a counterblast. And on Vanguard, at the end of the battle, it attacked to discard 2 cards from your hand, ride up to 1 card with Riviere and its card name from your hand as stand, and this unit gets drive -1 until end of turn. So not only when you ride in the card, you get another Imaginary Gift Force, you also have the option for the when placed, counterblast 1, discard a card from your hand, and draw 2 cards effect all over again, just by discarding 2 cards from your hand, having the Riviere ride target in your hand to use, and then going from there for the search. So very, very strong for that ride as stand. Not so much a restand deck, but just the overall strength for re-riding another Riviere and then another one. Definitely does help for the overall plays for what this card can do. Pressure-wise, building up your force markers. It also affected, the trigger lineup I wanted to go for in the deck. So we'll get to that when we get to the grade 0s, obviously. We definitely need 4 top idle Riviere for the deck, just for consistency with the ride chain as well. And just like Pacifica with the backup grade 3, we were given a backup grade 3 to work with Riviere, and that is Animated Rooting Margin. With this one, from the hand, if your Vanguard is top idle Riviere, discard this card, draw a card, and put a card from your drop zone into your soul. If a card with Riviere in its card name was put, return that card to your hand. This ability may only be used by a card with the same card name once a turn. So with your hand power and margin, it does have the Imaginary Gift Force, but you really never want to have to ride this card. You want to use it for the recycle power for your top idle Riviere when it is your Vanguard, being able to discard a card, draw a card, put a card from your drop zone into the soul, giving you that power for the Riviere to return it to your hand means you can reuse the grade 3s for the ride chain using this card. I do like it as the backup option, just for the fact that if you do need to ride this card, it does have the Imaginary Gift Force option, so you can build up force markers, but most of the time you don't have to do that. I just like it for that consistency that you can keep on using the re-ride as stand effect as long as you have the cards to go for with all your setup as well. And that is it for the grade 3s. We'll now move on to the grade 2s. For the grade 2 cards to start off with, I run 4 super idle Riviere. It's like I'm missing one of each of the Riviere ride chain. Just need to buckle down and get those last cards. I have the one 10k with the additional 10k shields, just as the replacement. You still need 4 super idle Rivieres as well. From your hand, if your Vanguard is grade 2, ride this card, draw a card, and call 2 Mermaid Idle Riviere from your soul to rear. So it just has great setup from the hand for making this card your ride target to go for when your Vanguard is grade 2, just so you can always keep with the consistency for the Riviere ride chain. And when your Vanguard with Riviere and its card name is placed, you may stand this unit. It's a once per turn rearguard effect, just when you have this card attack on your rearguard. Let's say you have the 2 set up on the field, and you have your Riviere as your main Vanguard to go for. You can attack first with the Riviere rearguards, and then also attack with your Vanguard Riviere, have that attack hit, and then also pay the cost to re-ride your new Riviere with this card, gaining the new additional imaginary gift force, and then being able to restand both of your rearguard super idle Rivieres. When your Vanguard with Riviere and its card name is placed, you may stand the units, giving you the additional attacks along with the Vanguard attack, which may only be a drive -1, but still definitely more pressure since you'll have more optional targets then to once again give your rearguards power up with the triggers you may get. And that's why it's great, because you can have the multiple attacks that can really go on par with a bunch of different decks. So you definitely need 4 Super Idle Riviere for that pressure also. And for backup power, I also run 4 Scramble Red Island with this one. On rear, when your Vanguard with Riviere and its card name is placed, this unit gets plus 10,000 until end of turn. So if you don't have the restand power you can go for with Super Idle Riviere, you can still use this one for the pressure being an auto effect of plus 10,000 when you place it. So if this card's already on rearguard, when you ride your first top idle Riviere, you'll get the plus 10, and then when you go for the re-ride power for Riviere, you'll get another plus 10, just being all the more pressure you can use with this card for the big attack. If you want to save the attack for last and go with the Vanguard pressure first, and then rely on your backup grade 2 rear guards. It does have the 10k power, so you're able to use that as well for the setup. So just remember that when going for the play. And I also run 3 Charging Ache Metra at the end of the battle attack. Counterblast 1, put this unit to your soul, draw a card, and one of your units gets plus 5,000 to end of turn. More draw power for this one. It wasn't so much the soul power, because there are a few cards we use soul with in this deck. The grade 1 Mermaid Idol Riviere being it, and the next grade 2 we run. But also just being able to have the draw power and getting to cards we need more. And you don't even have to have a grade 3 Vanguard with this card, so you can go grade 2 pressure-wise with these attacks. Definitely does come in handy for this card at 3. And the numbers for this one might vary. I have 2 from Colorful Pastoral Caro in the deck. It's not really needed for the melody effect. More for on rearguard when placed from hand. Soul Blast 2, search your deck for up to 1 card with the same card name as your grade 3. Reveal it and put it into your hand. Shuffle your deck. This ability may only be used by a card with the same card name once a turn. The search power for your go-to ride target with your Riviere is the important part of this card's play. Once you have the ride target all set up with this card, being able to Soul Blast and gain the additional grade 3 to add to your hand is the main reason you want to run this in the deck. Any numbers that are adjusted, if you want to try more, you can try dropping the Charging Ache Metra numbers for more of this card. If you want to give it a try, it does require some pretty big Soul Blast. That's why I decided to run the 3 numbers for the Metra in the deck, and then rely on this for that additional search when you do need it. And that is it for the grade 2s. We'll now move on to the grade 1s. For the end of the Riviere for the grade 1 ride chain, I run 4 Mermaid Idol Riviere. Once again, just to going with the generic grade 1 to fill in the spot for the last one. Just need 1 grade 3, 2, and 1 to finish off the deck myself. But with this one on hand, Soul Blast 1 and ride this card on a grade 1. Look at 7 cards from the top of your deck. Reveal up to 1 card with Riviere and its card name. From among them, put it into your hand and shuffle your deck. If Bermuda Triangle Cadet Riviere was Soul Blast for this cost, draw a card. So more draw power with this, meaning you definitely need to ride the Bermuda Triangle Cadet Riviere as your starter in the deck also. And on rearguard, if this card is in the back row, it gets plus 2,000, being a 10k booster for some of your other units. Definitely does come in handy for that 10k power, depending on the units you're using also. But the setup for this one, checking with the Riviere and its card name from among the cards you reveal with this card for the ride chain definitely does help for that setup later on in the game. So just having this and then all the other versions of Riviere that we're running in the deck are very, very vital for all your plays. And also, I am running more for the Riviere support for Leftius Pierre Evge. Evge, I believe is how you pronounce the card. With this one, when your Vanguard with Riviere and its card name is placed, if you have 1 or less face-up cards in your damage zone, retire this unit, draw a card, and countercharge 1. So you do eat up counterblast pretty fast in this deck. So with this one, just having the option is placed, and then 1 or less face-up cards. If you need those counterblasts, being able to retire this for a draw helps after it's also just been used for the boost, being able to clear up your back row that can no longer boost, giving you draw power for defense next turn, and then also just opening up your counterblast for some other cards you may want to use in the deck. So for this, definitely does come in handy for that setup also. And lastly, I do run a pretty low grade 1 count, focusing more on the grade 2s, but I do run the 4 of the grade 1 Sentinel just because I wanted to open up the trigger lineup to as much pressure as we can get with this deck. So for Intact Parasol Ennis, with this one on guard circle, when placed, discard a card from your hand, and if one or more units cannot be hit until that battle, so the generic Sentinel effect, and when placed on Vanguard, draw a card, discard a card from your hand. It helps to get through some of your other cards much quicker, especially when you want to go for the Mermaid Idol Riviere ride as well. So it definitely does help as that option for a ride target just to get to the card we need more importantly. And then for the grade 0s, your starter, which is definitely needed in the deck for the effect of the grade 1 Riviere, is Bermuda Triangle Cadet Riviere. Having this Soul Blast option for the draw power is definitely just an extra +1 that you definitely need to rely on. And for the trigger lineup, I've decided to go with the 12 critical. I feel with the grade 3 Riviere, it's just the most pressure you can get out of the deck. So 4 Lover Hope Rena, 4 Docking Shooter Apelia, and 4 Direct Sign Perch. Like I said, with all the different drive checks you can do and the setup you can do for your rear guards, this is just the best pressure lineup to go with, I feel, in the deck, and then just hit your opponent hard with all the different drive checks you can do. And lastly, the 4 Handmade Lover Elena for the heal trigger, just that final spot. I didn't really feel we need draws as much for the Sentinel lineup, or just, in the deck at all. This is just enough pressure to quickly finish off your opponent with the fact that you can re-ride a Vanguard and go for more and more pressure with those rear guards, depending on the drive checks you get. And that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. We've got one more deck profile to do for the new 3 decks we received from the Crystal Melody Booster Pack, so definitely look forward to that. But until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Qualia out.